And that's what you call a do-over. What's going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. Here in Atlanta, Georgia, I am Adam Johnson.
Here in Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Wright.
Nothing is working.
Some things are working, but constraint drives innovation. That's the beauty.
Aha. Very, very innovative for you to say that.
There you have it.
So, for those of you who are noticing the difference in sound, I'm actually doing this completely from my phone. The wonder of technology allows us to do all of this stuff with just a single handheld device. I'm staring at my laptop. My laptop is on like the last, nanometer of, the boot cycle because I was trying to update some drivers. And then it just was like, nah, maybe I'll just sit this one out.
And one lesson you can learn is don't update drivers half an hour before starting your podcast.
Well, the problem is that I've been using my work computer to do live streaming.
Yeah.
And my work computer is at work because I'm at work now.
Right.
And so I was like, this needs to happen on this personal machine. But, and I guarantee you within 15 minutes of us having this conversation, it's going to wake back up.
At some point
like, hey,
here. Yeah.
Where's the party?
I'll come right back to life.
Yeah. So this is attempt number 2 to do this episode. For those of you who were active on Facebook, you might have actually seen that episode go out in real time, but it was so bad.
If so, we apologize.
Yeah, it was so bad we decided to not release it because it was literally that bad. So if you're morbidly curious, it's out there.
Yeah.
But it won't be on any of the other channels.
Yeah, it's not out as a podcast. It's not out on YouTube, but it is still on the Facebook page. And it wasn't that we just had nothing to say. We just had nothing to say. And we have, all through this time when there's been nothing to say, we have kept ourselves to this commitment of keeping the thing going, keeping the cadence up and putting out a piece a week and doing that kind of no matter what, even when there was not a lot to talk about. And somehow that's come together in previous weeks, but last week
it just didn't.
Not so much. Yeah.
And I think, for us as content creators, it can be frustrating because I think because we have done this so much that I think there's a certain level of confidence, maybe
misplaced,
bleeding onto the edge of arrogance.
Foolish.
That we're like, we can figure this out.
Oh yeah, no problem.
And, last week humbled me.
Yeah, we got to the end of it. It was like, I don't know that's, are we going to look back on this and be proud? And the answer was no. So we just didn't post it.
So,
now the thing to say about though is that is the first missed week in I think over a year.
Yeah.
And given the decision making of it, I'm actually proud to have missed the week. I'm glad we didn't, push it out. We did an episode early in the coronavirus shutdown that was the audio of a Zoom party we held, and it was like the worst podcast because it was all about like what we could see happening on the screen and like the listeners who were just pure audio it so ignored them and so devalued their participation in it, and it was poor. But we put that one out. We just didn't want to do that again. We just didn't want to do that again. Yeah. So we didn't.
So we're doing our best to do to make it happen this go round.
Yep.
And we had some stuff that we did talk about that would be worth retreading.
Yeah.
And there's some new stuff. So we'll go ahead and release this on the front end of the week. Just doing a little bit of house cleaning. I am leaving to go on vacation on Wednesday. So we're putting this week's episode out a little early. And then Dan will be flying solo or with a special guest the following week while I am in Florida.
I wonder who it'll be. He doesn't know he's coming on this week, but I wonder who it'll be.
And like I said before, if push comes to shove and it's driving me nuts, there may be a normal episode anyway because I just need something to do.
Hey, where is it you're going?
St. George Island in Florida, which is...
It's a place you go. That's your place.
It's a place that is separate from all of the nonsense. We're basically going and sheltering in place in a beach house.
Right. We did that a couple of weeks ago, and it was fun, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no restaurants. There's no Albans Island. There's no surf shops. It's literally just go to the house. They've got a beach, a pool, and a hot tub.
Nice.
And we'll be cooking all our meals there. Because even if we wanted to go somewhere, the closest place is literally 30 miles away.
Good.
And they definitely wouldn't be able to take a party of 15 anywhere.
And that's what it is? It's your whole family?
Hmm.
Nice.
So my parents, my brothers and sisters, their spouses, and all the kids, it's going to be something.
It's good. A lot of little ones.
Yeah. Four, I think four under five
Wow.
or four under six. Yeah.
Wow. Are
But like
the boys
oldest one
excited
being
about
like
that?
16. Yeah. For the kids, it's great because and for the parents, it's also kind of great because there are these little like clicks, then they kind of keep themselves entertained.
Right.
Uh, so that we can just spend time together and
Right.
do stuff.
Right. I will say, 16 weeks at home as the parent of an only child, it's not great.
Nope.
It's not great at all.
But on the flip side, we had our eldest gone for a full week and we just had the younger one, and it just throws the rhythm off.
Yeah.
So you kind of go through it both ways. There's a certain level of, I guess, uh, desirable chaos that comes with a particular family unit.
Or or at least you got a groove going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. It's the first vacation I've taken in over a year.
Yeah.
And work's been kind of rough, just very busy. And I know I'm leaving my team high and dry because we're already down a man. But I really, really need this time.
Yeah.
To
I think everybody has to take their time off. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
I think a team gets weird if people aren't doing that. So.
Yeah. Well, I've got the last of my Screwball peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, you should get more to take on vacation.
Oh, it's 100% happening.
Oh yeah.
Jeff from the group was like, "Man, I can't afford that stuff up this way." And he's saying wherever he's at, this stuff is like $30-$40 a bottle.
Jeez.
Where I can get it I can get it at Costco for 26.
You may be the hookup.
It's about as much as going to get 4 Roses or whatever else I would normally drink, but this is delicious.
All right.
It's a much more suitable desserty kind of. It's almost like an aperitif, if you will.
It's one of my favorite words. We do not have liquor in our Costco's here. We have wine and beer like crazy, but not liquor. So I'll have to go to my liquor store and see if they have that.
Liquor's like its own little like offshoot. And the thing about Costco's that do sell liquor is that you don't have to be a Costco member to shop there,
right?
Because there's some sort of
law
around
yes,
alcohol clubs.
I have heard of that in states where they can do that. Here, our liquor stores are state monopolies, so we have to go to the place. But there are plenty of them, and they do pretty well. So
yeah,
it's all right.
So last week I played a gig.
Mm-hmm.
Did one the Saturday before Father's Day at the winery by my house. And previously we had talked about the other acoustic gig that I had done where the crowd was really good and I felt like I was like shucking and jiving just to like interact with people.
Yeah. Having not done that for 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so a part of me was like, I may need to like pull back on that. So this last gig, I was trying to tie things together more and talk less, but it turned out that like I set the wrong precedent. And so I didn't get requests and I didn't have any interaction because people thought that I like had this whole like night in front of me, where really after the first like 6 or 7 songs, I was just like dying behind my eyes going, what on earth am I going to play next?
Yeah. Do you do that for acoustic? You don't make a set list for acoustic shows.
I don't. What I do, so I'm using you use Band Helper for your
everything I do.
Sheets.
Yeah.
I use the Ultimate Guitar app because I like the idea that if I in a pinch I needed to pull something up, I could get it.
Makes sense.
And they've got playlists and they have songbooks. And so playlists can be whatever you want them to be. And I have one called Tonight. And Tonight are basically like songs that I haven't pulled out in a while, or new stuff I want to try out, or ones that I think that are interesting that I wouldn't normally pick. It's just kind of like a way to kind of like jog your memory and pick new things.
Yeah.
I would say out of the list I made for this last one, the big winner was Now I'm a Believer by the Monkees.
I do like that song.
I'd never played that before.
We do that as part of our closing the night set.
Yep.
We do that into Purple Rain, and that closes our night.
I never played it before. It's an easy one. It's Neil Diamond. I mean,
right. Hard to go wrong.
It's gonna be good.
Hard to go wrong.
So yeah, I mean, I ended up doing okay. And again, those of you who aren't doing PayPal or Venmo, I made like $40 in virtual tips
Freebie. Do it.
plus cash.
Yeah.
So you got to do it.
Plus, you don't feel weird about touching virtual money.
Nope.
I feel a little weird
Not at
about
all.
touching real money.
Yeah. So that one happened. And then I got called about playing the 4th, but I'm going to be out of town. So that's not happening.
Right.
The other thing that's kind of popping up that's I'm not really stoked on is that restaurants and bars are starting to close again.
Right.
So in our market, one of the first ones that reopened for live music closed this week because somebody on staff got COVID.
Right.
And then a friend of mine was driving on his way to a show and they called him and said, we're closing till further notice.
Yeah.
Same deal though. Staff got sick.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You close is what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So
just going to be the
staff-
reality of it. I think that I'll be shocked if we're not headed toward more formal shutdowns. That may be politically hard, but here in North Carolina, they punted for 3 weeks. The deadline came to say, are we going to go to phase 3, which is essentially wide open? And the governor said we're not, and implemented mandatory masking, and said we'll look again in 3 weeks. And so I don't know. We'll look again in 3 weeks. Who knows?
Yep.
That's how this has gone the whole way. Look again in we can't predict how things are going to go, but let's plan them as if we can, and then who knows?
Yeah. So other thing that happened is that Amber ended up going with some friends to Charleston for like a girls' weekend. It ended up being kind of a bust because a lot of the stuff that they had planned to do, either like they had reservations to a restaurant that was closed because somebody got COVID.
Yeah.
And then they were supposed to do this like walking like beer tour of the city, but like it involved like going into restaurants and like sitting for periods of time. And so they just were like, I straight up don't feel comfortable doing this. They were cool enough to give them like a 3-year moratorium that they could come back and do it.
That's cool.
And while she was gone, I got bored and was like, I'm going to make this live stream video. So I'm going to try all this new stuff and do a live stream. And none of it worked. Not a single piece of it worked. And I ended up doing the live stream after futzing with my rig for an hour and a half using the exact same things I'd used before.
Well, it sounded good.
That's nice.
It was a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, all you were getting was my microphone going and my guitar going straight into the interface, no post-processing.
Yeah, well, it was fine.
Cool. I'll take fine.
Well,
I made $10
nice
in virtual tips.
Yeah.
For about 45 minutes, which is not a bad.
Plus an hour and a half of gear wrangling.
Yeah, but I could have done that for free. Instead, I made $10.
Hey,
I didn't have anything better to do.
Listen, that'll buy you a cup of coffee.
It might buy you 2, depending on how crappy the coffee is.
Or a half a bottle of peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah, maybe. So, like, what is your go-to coffee? Like, do you have like one that you prefer?
I have been a coffee snob at times in my life, and this is not one of those times. I will drink anything that comes out of the pot. And I am I'll go to Starbucks, and I mostly at Starbucks get drip. What's their house thing? Pike's Place.
Pike's Place.
I get one of those. The medium size in Italianish, whatever they call it.
Grande,
I suppose.
Sure.
They're all their sizes are big. It's like big, and 20 are their 3 sizes.
Yes.
Doesn't make sense to me. But so I get the medium big and room for cream, and that's my go-to there.
So I'm a black coffee drinker, so I am a bit of a snob because I like the flavor of it.
See, I think with black you have to be. I think with black, if you're drinking black, that matters. And I decided I didn't care enough, so I started adding cream.
So for me, as far as Starbucks goes, I only get their cold stuff.
Huh.
So I like their cold brew a lot.
Yep.
Their nitro is probably
I've tried that. It's very
the
good.
best that you can get as far as consistency goes.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what I use on a daily basis is Dunkin' Donuts Original.
You know what?
Whole bean.
Super good. Super good.
Grind that junk. It is like primo. So
I do have I will say, for a non-snob, I have the gear because I'm a gearhead, right? So I have a burr grinder and I have a pretty decent coffee pot. I don't have an espresso machine. I don't think I care to, but
I do. I've got a Nespresso Pixie.
I have tried those. It's good stuff. I'm tempted.
This was like one of those things where I was working at the church and it was sitting in a closet, and I was like, "Does anybody want this?" Like, nah, it's yours.
Score.
I got like a $200 espresso
That's
machine.
good.
Free,
I had somebody at
cool.
Sur La Table make me a cup out of one, and I was like, I can see how you would want this, and I'm not buying it. But thank you for the coffee.
Yeah. Speaking of getting something for nothing.
Yeah.
I did get an email today that the church that I normally play at is doing honorariums for the next month. So
all right.
Me and a couple of other guys from my band who are in that rotation are going to get a check for not playing.
Nice.
Which is pretty sweet.
Honoraria.
Yeah.
Love it.
A lot of churches don't have the ability to do that, but the one that we're with does, and it's pretty cool.
That's great. That's great.
And
do that. So when do they deliver the chicks for free?
I don't know.
Do you have to install any microwave ovens?
It was not in the email or the planning center manifest that I got this week.
Does it involve custom kitchen delivery?
Yes, and problematic language that isn't cool anymore.
It's not cool anymore. He changes it when he does it live now.
That's kind of
what
little
fella.
Doing
that's what he does now.
Just turn the whole. Yeah, we're just.
You have to.
We're looking back, and we're reevaluating things.
We weren't woke once, and now we're attempting to be increasingly woke. That's the story of us.
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It needs to happen.
Agreed. Yeah. So, talking about things on the horizon, we've got a gig still, apparently, as far as I know. The check hasn't come in yet. July 24th.
Okay.
It's a municipal event. And I'm going balls out. I'm doing a 6-piece band, even though I only told him that there was going to be a 5-piece. Like, I'm just ready to put some money in my guys' pockets and just see them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This has been a rough season for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But like our main guitar player has just been through like the worst year.
Yeah.
And
do you want to we debated whether we're gonna just do it. Do it.
So this is something we haven't talked about, and it's something that they weren't really broadcasting, but it's something that we've kept in touch. And our guitar player plays with us sometimes. I know for those of you who listen to the show, there's been times where he wasn't available and I was doing that part, but it was never a situation where there was bad blood. It was just, he was busy. He had other gigs, and it was an opportunity for me to step up and do that. And it gives us, more flexibility, but we always kept in touch. And his wife got sick, and they kept an eye on it, and things were going okay. And then things were going not okay. And then we just kind of lost touch, and she passed away this past week. And, she's a person that was with us from the very beginning. Before there was a members only, we were in a different group, and that's where I met him and her. And she's been, she was around a lot. And it's just, it's sad. She's younger than I am.
Yeah.
And he's younger than I am. And we're, looking at that, just kind of from a life experience perspective, is just devastating.
For sure.
And for us, we don't really know. I mean, the best thing I know to do is to try and be a good friend and, help where I can, but also understand that I need to kind of keep my distance. And this isn't really about me being sad for him.
Yeah.
Like, he's got stuff he's got to handle. He's got to manage.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you can express that. I think it makes a difference for them to, people are going through that, to hear that other people, feel strongly about it. I think that matters, but yeah, for sure. It's not about us who are outside of it.
Well, and it's something that, I struggle with, because I want, there's a part of me that's like, I need to help, I need to do something, but like, I need to also understand that I like, sometimes helping is giving people space.
Totally.
So,
and like, what are you going to do? Like,
yeah,
how are you going to help with that?
Well, and that's where that was like where my head was last week. And then my sister was in the hospital getting an appendectomy, which ended up not being necessary because something else was wrong. So to say that I wasn't really in the right headspace, for a conversation, is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um,
So last week's episode had a few strikes against it. Is the point?
it was just we just weren't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
The cards were against us.
Yeah.
But there's stuff to look forward to, and we've got work to do.
We do.
And I know that that's something that you wanted to talk about a bit as well.
I do.
So why don't you take that? You sent me a really funny text about like, oh, I got to do this now. So why don't you go ahead and fill people in?
I hope I remember what that was. Yeah.
It was an ask one.
Oh, right. So I've been talking with, all the places that I've played, and they're all eager to get back to it when they can. And one of the places that my main band, my 4-piece electric band, has played, the Clanky Lincolns has played, is a place called Pig Pounder. For those of you just catching up with the podcast,
those of you who've never listened to an episode, which you mentioned Pig Pounder in literally every single one of them.
I do. Well, they're really good friends and really good place to play. And the manager, Cassie, is fantastic. And she and I've been in really close touch the last several weeks as they've reopened in partial capacity and implemented all these masking rules and lines, and they've really done it right. And she's going back to music, and she's putting musicians on the loading dock into the brewery area of the building, and so you're up probably 4 feet off of the parking lot, which is where the audience would be. So we went and looked at our first. She wanted us for her first music back, and I couldn't make it work. Tony's going to be out of town. And so we picked another date, and then I said, Taylor and I are also really eager to get going when you're ready for the acoustic stuff, and in fact the Sunday after, so the Clanky Lincoln show back there is July 18th, and then she put Cold Iron Ray.
You just said Lanky Clinkins.
The Lanky Clinkins.
That's how long it's been.
It is. Just put a pin in that. I have a story to tell that's related. So I said the acoustic show, Cold Iron Ray, we're ready too. And she put us on the next night. So I'm doing a doubleheader at Pig Pounder, which, despite all the years of playing there, more than a year now, I've not done back-to-back nights there before. So I was thinking about, here we are, an electric party dance band, and we'll be playing to a parking lot full of people who are supposed to be social distancing. So how do I make that work? And they've got mask rules, and they got all the stuff that they're supposed to be doing. And I'm clear I'm going to end up being the fun police on mic a little bit. That's probably going to happen. But then I thought, all right, well, one of the things I have is heat transfers and a heat press, and I make our own merch. I make our own T-shirts. Yeah. And then I just started wondering, what custom printed masks would cost. And I got on Amazon, and in fact, I found this. Those of you watching video versions of this, I'm holding it up right now.
Very much like a surgeon's mask that you would think of from like an ER show. It's a
mask. It's a face covering. It's got, rather than ear straps, which I can't do because my head's too enormous and melony, it's got ties, so it ties around the back of your head, and it's got enough space on the front of it, and it's white that I believe I can transfer my logo onto the front of this mask and have it be a piece of merch that I don't know whether I'll sell it or just give it away, but I want to see my logo on everybody's mug as they are socially distanced dancing. So it's, once I realized I could do this, it suddenly became like, oh, we're going to throw a party. We're going to throw a very appropriate, safe party. That's happening, right? And so it was as I watched myself have that thought, it was very much like, I haven't thought that way in a while. That sort of, creativity and thinking about how I can push a thing a little bit further and monetize it maybe, or just make it great, or whatever that is. I have it. That's a muscle that's been 3 months atrophied now, and but it's great. And so I found black ones. The Cold Iron Ray branding is all light printing on dark. So I found black ones that are coming on Monday that I will do with the Cold Iron Ray logo, and we'll do those for that show too. But my plan is that we are the band that demonstrates that you can perform in masks, you can sing in masks. I want to be the band that shows that you can do that. I want to be on YouTube, fully performing wide, full out, safe.
Okay.
So I surely will put some video in the group about that. And the band's on board. They're ready to do that. It will be semi outdoors. I mean, we'll be on a loading dock with an open garage door, so drums and bass will be slightly inside and kind of it is air conditioned in there, but it'll be open to the late July weather. I expect it'll be warm and uncomfortable, but okay, so fine. It's warm and uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, when is playing during the summer not warm?
That's right. That's right. I'm not going to wear shorts, so I'll wear this too.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I was speaking of which, I'm gonna, this has been like a weird situation with like the whole weight loss journey. But like one of the things I wanted to do before the show is take my existing members only jacket, which is getting really like beat up, and take it to like an alterations place and turn it into a vest.
Nice.
So it's a members only vest.
Awesome.
I'm excited to see how that looks because as of like last year during the summer, I wore like a denim vest as like my stage look because I wasn't going to wear a jacket because the summer before we had done a couple of gigs and I literally almost like passed out on stage from heat stroke.
Not great. Not great.
It's not a good look.
Yeah.
It really isn't. So yeah. I'm very, so when are those dates?
The full band is July 18th and the acoustic is July 19th.
So I'm curious to see, you'll have a week ahead of us before that show. So we can kind of see how it pans out. Now, personally, I don't feel compelled to perform in a mask. Mostly because like typically we're on a stage away from people and we're using our own microphones and stuff. So I'm like morbidly curious to see how that pans out.
I want to demonstrate that it can be done. I don't know that it's necessary, but I want to be the ones that set the example.
No, I totally get that. And if you can, it would make me willing to, to consider that.
I mean, I did a little singing in the backyard as I was grilling dinner tonight. Tri-tip on the pellet smoker. It's a very nice thing to feed your family. Anyway, I did some singing, and I'm speaking to it right now. Those of you who are not watching the video version of it, and I can hear in my monitors there's a little bit of high end cut, but it's not terrible, and I think it'll probably work fine. I can breathe in it just fine. Full depth breath, and I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be totally fine. I actually saw a video of Jeff Wall, Big Dumb Hick, who we've had on the show, at Pig Pounder last weekend, singing in a mask. And his joke was, of course, it improved the visual quality of the show dramatically.
Oh,
that's his deal. But
did you see the? I think it was the Flaming Lips did a show where like everybody was in their own bubble, including the audience.
I love that.
So they all have like those big inflatable clear plastic bubbles, and everybody had one.
That's great. It's great.
I'm totally on board.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's genius. Anyway, so the point is like, sometimes when you're up against an unknown and we've been saying it for weeks, right? But like that moment of like being in the space of needing to come up with something, and then thinking about it for a minute and coming up with something was my band career has been full of moments like that and full of thinking like that. And it's been a while. Yeah. So it was really great to have that kind of experience again. And that moment of like, oh God, that'd be so cool. Like imagine if everybody's in Mikey Lincoln masks, this would be so great.
No, that's great, man. As far as like, looking into the future, I think that's kind of the reason why I want to do like the big 6-piece thing. Like I don't know what the future holds,
right.
And if this is the only opportunity I get to play on stage with my guys,
let's do it, right?
Just do it.
Let's go big. Totally.
And leave it all out on the stage. Yep. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. And I don't think like you won't be able to wipe the smile off my face with like a sledgehammer. Yeah. Just to get back out there and do it.
Totally.
And then we can laugh about that, a year and a half from now when we're complaining about, the monotony of playing shows,
right. Right. How are we ever going to find time to update our set list? Yeah, I'd love that problem again. Thank you. Right.
Yeah. So we were talking about this today. I asked Amber about adding Rome by the B-52s.
Oh yeah, good one.
And I hadn't thought about that one, but I think that's who it is. Kate from the band did like a basically like a solo version of it with their piano player like remotely, and it was just cool to hear it. I mean, it wasn't stripped down, like all the parts were there, but it was just her and him, so no harmonies and nothing like that. But like, she still sounds great. That song is so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Georgia boy, B-52s are like legends.
Totally.
So anything they do, we're
totally. Do you do any B-52s?
We've done Love Shack before, but I feel like it's like that's the song.
Yeah.
And I think Rome is a cool, like, again, it was one of their massive hits. It just isn't Love Shack.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if you're gonna do them, it's gonna be Love Shack unless you dig a little deeper. Do you I mean, the thing about them, of course, is their harmonies. That the harmonies in the two girl singers are so out there and like hard to even hear, let alone sing.
Mm-hmm. That I'm the one with the hard part.
Okay. Yeah.
Amber gets to sing, the super like familiar melody line, and I've got to sing above her.
Weird extra. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But also in unison when it needs to be.
Right.
And
yes. Yeah, it's really complex. It's part of what I love about those guys. It's like those harmonies are so, I mean, they're really well constructed, but they're also just, driving in the car, you're not going to get them. You're not going to get them. You can't quite hear them.
And it's so uniquely them. Like there's nobody who harmonizes like that.
Yes.
I was talking about that with somebody the other day, talking about Ambrosia, which, we've already delved into how much I love Ambrosia.
Yeah.
The band, not the food. The whole idea that you would have like a 6 to 8 piece band where everybody's a great singer.
Yeah.
And so like you have what they're basically vocal bands is what, that's kind of the genre that they are, where you're doing, if you pulled all the music out, the voices alone would carry the song.
Yeah.
And replicating that live is just something.
I mean, you have to have the personnel, and that's...
You do. Well, and like Yacht Rock Review added 2 female singers. And so now they can do like insane stuff.
Yeah.
On their last tour before they closed up, they were doing Georgie Porgy by Toto.
All right, good.
You want to talk about just funky, and just that groove was just so good.
It's awesome.
I saw like a drum cam that I think their sound guy shot in one of their shows, and it's like, it's amazing.
It's very cool.
So
very cool. So to unpin that story about getting the name wrong,
the Lanky Clinkins.
So at our first show, among our first shows, one of our first shows, we were opening for
Quiet Riot.
We were opening for Viva La Muerte, actually.
Okay.
At a place that is a venue, like the first time we'd done like a clubby kind of thing that wasn't a bar, and they had a marquee up front, and they had, Viva La Muerte in really big letters, and underneath them in smaller letters it said, "The Clark Lickens." CLARK LICONS, the Clark Lickens. And so, our tradition is to do a Facebook Live, just reach out before a show. And so Justin and I were out front of the place like, all right, they say your name in lights. Your name in lights. This is almost our name in lights. Almost our name. It's almost our name. It is in lights. The Clark Lickens.
Well, that was one of those claims to fame, as far as marquees go, when my jokey cover band from college, we got to play at the Georgia Theater, and they put our name on the marquee.
Nice.
The Georgia Theater. And the name of our band was stupid.
What was it?
Alf and the Frat Guys. So Georgia Theater, like prestige.
Alf and the Frat Guys.
Alf and the Frat Guys. And we flipped. We were like...
No, it's amazing to see your name up there. It is. It really is. Even if it's not quite your name.
Yeah.
Still pretty great.
Yeah.
We made a little hay on Facebook about it, and off you go.
But that is almost better.
Yeah, no, totally.
Getting it right.
No, I mean, I think that I still have the picture, obviously, of our name wrong, and it's great.
Well, like anytime that you have like one of those Spinal Tap moments, it makes it feel even more authentic than if they got it right.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I specifically said Spinal Tap, then Puppet Show.
That's right. Was it Spinal Tap?
Yes.
Yeah. Same problem.
And one day we will all be back to having those moments where we get to do those things.
Yeah.
And it's been cool to see people in the group kind of talking about, finding ways to innovate and do new things that, it's been really inspiring. And it's just been cool to see how the community has honestly, gathered around, people that they don't even know, just to like support and encourage and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think our Facebook pages and Facebook group is, it's just great. Somehow we've gotten to a decent size without collecting a lot of jerks.
Yep.
And, I don't see that happening a lot in Facebook groups, but it seems to have happened in ours. So
sometimes when the jerk is running the group,
well, maybe want to leave that right there.
I don't know. I'll get my hands dirty every now and then if somebody wants to speak up. But otherwise, it's we're definitely humbled by the support that we've gotten,
for sure,
and just how great you guys have been. And one thing, talking about stuff that you can do for us that doesn't involve monetary whatever. If you like this podcast, share it with your friends. Post it on social media, tag us in it on Instagram or whatever. That helps. If you haven't left a review for us on the podcast platform you prefer, please do that. iTunes or Spotify don't do a very good job of promoting these shows. It's very much word of mouth, and you guys are the best advertisement that we've got, because you're the ones who are benefiting from it, day in and day out. And the more reviews that we get, the higher we show up in search rankings and recommendations.
And if you go up to your bassist and say, "Hey, what'd you think of last week's Cover Band Confidential?" and he says, "What?" Say, "Bro, oh man." That's the conversation you need to have next.
Totally.
Bruh,
so,
bruh, you gotta be listening, bruh.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking my guitar to the beach and probably not playing it very much.
Yeah.
I always do it. I bring it. I was, we're going to do this.
Sure.
Don't
yeah.
Pick it up.
It's all good. It's vacation. It's all good.
Yeah.
You got to vacate.
Indeed. So maybe I won't see you next week, but maybe I will.
I have no plans around seeing you next week. You should vacate.
I'll do my best.
Do.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. This episode is coming out live over Facebook and will be posted to YouTube, hopefully tomorrow, barring any weirdness.
And just a real shout to John Kent and Ben Ivy, who both commented without us replying. Thanks for being here, guys. Awesome.
Hey, Ben just got himself a brand new Gibson SG as like a gift.
Nice.
It's black with like chrome. It's
badass.
I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yes, apologies to guys. With the weird situation, we are not able to monitor the live stream in real time.
Well, it was up. I just didn't. We were in the middle of stuff.
But yeah, you guys, for all the diehards, thanks for tuning in. And like I said, share with your friends, post however you can, and let's just keep this train rolling, man. But that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys again. From Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
From Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You have been listening. You
have
been listening to the Cover Band Confidential podcast, episode 109, part 2. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. If you want to help us, be sure to share us with your friends, follow us on social media, and if you haven't already, please leave a review for us on the podcast platform of your choice. Facebook.com/CoverbandConfidential, Instagram @CoverbandConfidential, and Twitter @CoverbandConfid. If you have any questions, please email us at coverbandconfidential@gmail.com, and consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/CoverbandConfidential. And for more info, check out www.coverbandconfidential.com.